Hi, Aniruddha here. Today I'm going to talk with one of the full stack development course that is nothing but meanstack. In the last crash course we have seen what's the meanstack. Now here we would be getting what do you mean by meanstack. So when you talk about the meanstack, remember that again you are talking about the JavaScript full stack, and in the JavaScript full stack you are looking for Mongo, Express, Angular and the Node. Mongo, Express, Angular and the Node. Remember that mean and meanstack are highly demanded positions in the market. A lot of companies are recruiting nowadays for a meanstack and the meanstack developers. It's a highly demanding and the trending position or the job profile in the market. Now, whenever we talk about the meanstack, remember that as I said you, it's a JavaScript full stack. Now when you talk about the JavaScript full stack, what things you need to consider, right? That thing we will see. So in this crash course, I'm going to explain you what's the little bit background about the meanstack. Then we will talk about JavaScript and ES6. Then we will talk about Node.js and the Express.js. Then the DB connectivity, Angular app and deployment related things, right? So this is a, I can say, optional one. If time permits, then and only then we will see. And what I have decided, let's try to cover it in a 1 hour, minimum in a 1 hour. Okay, now see, this is a crash course and I provide a online training also. I have a detailed course of the meanstack, Java full stack and the Android application development full stack. I cover it in very much detail, right? So I'm going to explain you that thing little bit later on. Let's focus on the course now. So when you talk about the course intro, so this thing is coming from the JavaScript family. Meanstack is coming from the JavaScript family. So everything you will do in the JavaScript, whatever you want to do, that you need to do in a JavaScript. About what you can say job profiles, right? Why companies are looking for meanstack developers? Because everything is in the one programming language. Everything is associated with one programming language, that is nothing but the JavaScript. That is very, very important. Means what you can say, if you know the JavaScript, right, you can develop the front end. If you know the JavaScript, you can develop the backend. If you know the JavaScript, you can write database related queries and a lot of other things you can do if you know what you can say JavaScript. And that's why most of the companies nowadays are looking for such people who can work throughout development to the deployment. If you know this thing, you are what you can say most important person or developer in the company, right? Now there are lot of other things associated with the meanstack that I'm not going to cover, like security. In this course I'm not going to cover the JWT security or the basic authentication or the OAuth 2. Let's keep it separate. Let's try to keep it very much minimal. If you need that, I can cover it in a separate course also, right? Sorry, I can cover it in separate video also. As I told you, if you want to learn all these things, whatever things require for becoming a professional meanstack developer, right, I have a dedicated course, right? It's an online in-person course. I would be training you what you can say like we are learning in the classroom, right? But it's online, right? Now so this is about the course introduction, how course is, what course is, right? About this crash course. Now there is something about the JavaScript and the ES6. So let's talk about the JavaScript and the ES6. Now what I will do, well, one more thing I would like to add over here, and that is nothing but what? GitHub. That is important. before moving ahead to the JavaScript, let's cover a little about the GitHub. So whenever you are looking for a full stack development course like a meanstack, meanstack or the Java full stack, Git plays very vital role, right? No matter what solution you are using, Git comes with many other solutions, right? Git comes with what you can say, Git is a software or guideline that has been implemented by a lot of companies like GitHub, Bitbucket, Atlassian, then you can say AWS Code Commit, right? GitLab. They are providing what you can say Git solution, and one of the free Git solution is a GitHub. We can use the GitHub. It's widely adopted. Remember that Git is a guideline, is a software, is a protocol, and GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, these people have implemented these things, and we are going to use one free solution that is nothing but what the GitHub, github.com. You can go over there and you can use it. Now what is a GitHub? Remember that GitHub is a code sharing platform. Okay, now it is what? A code sharing platform. Now consider that this is this is you, right? And this is your friend, and this is your what? Friend, and this is your one more friend, right? This is your one more friend. So you are three friends together. You are since together from the college, and you think that team, let's build what you can say, team, let's build one software, right? That is nothing but what? ERP. Let's build the ERP. This is my ERP that we are building. Now three of you want to work together and three of you want to collaborate with each other. Now consider that this guy says that okay, I am a very good at JavaScript. I will write the JavaScript code. This guy says that JavaScript and backend and whatnot. This guy will say that just don't worry, backend and other thing, just leave it to me. I will develop a backend and this thing for this ERP. This I said, I think ERP. Let's develop this ERP, or let's not take the ERP. You can say a simple program you are developing that is nothing but what? Expense manager. Just rename the program itself. You think that let's develop the expense manager. So this one of your friends says that I am very good at JavaScript, so I am going to write JavaScript related code, backend, whatever you require in the JavaScript, that I will type the code. This guy says that well, I am very good at databases, right? I am very good at the databases. So if you want to store the data, if you want to do the replication and what not other things, I will do that. And this guy says that well, I am very good at designing front end. I will write the front end. Now see, concern is that you three people are located in three different cities. So this person is in the Pune, this person in the Mumbai, and this person in the Bangalore. So how do you communicate with each other? One thing, you are geographically separated. Your working hours are different. So this guy says that I am going to give a time as I get a free time. So this guy says that I will work full time. This guy says that well, I will work as I get time again. So your working times are not also same. My question is that, so this guy has written some code, and that code this guy want to integrate, this guy want to integrate, or this guy has written some front end and this guy wants to collaborate with each other. How do you do that thing? There are a lot of problems when you do a collaborative work, or when you do a collaboration in the terms of code. A lot of things you need to take care, and all that things are taken care by one solution called as Git. Remember that I told you Git is a software, Git is a protocol, is a guideline, and this protocol guideline is implemented by one of the solution, that is nothing but what? GitHub. So you three people decided that okay, there is a nice solution available in the market, that is nothing but the GitHub. Let's create one folder on the GitHub. It's like a shared folder. Remember that it's like what? Shared folder. But while creating a shared folder, you need to take care of few things. Well, I will not discuss that things right now because it's a time bound. I have given myself as a 1 hour, so I'm not going to discuss that in depth. Just overview I'm giving you. In my course, right, everything is covered in very much in depth and in detail. Okay, so you friends thought that let's use a GitHub over here, right? So what you do, you just go to the github.com, right, over here. Now you go to the repositories, something like this, and you create what you can say a new folder. See, repository is nothing but what? New folder. And just let me see the convention I follow, meanstack crash course, and like this. So this is a repository for the meanstack, meanstack crash course, and I will generate one universally unique identifier, and let me just attach this number to this repository. Remember that. So because I would be having a lot of names with the meanstack crash course, how do you identify? This is identifier, right? And say create repository. So here this is a shared folder. Now if you see, there is something called as collaborators. Well, there is one option, collaborators. Your all the friends should be getting added over here, right? Your all three friends would be working as a collaborators, right? And that's how you will share the repository. Now here also, whatever code I'm going to type for this crash course, I would be sharing that code with you by means of this repository. So you will find that code over here. See, that is how it's a code sharing. I'm sharing the code with you. Okay, now I created a repository. Now see, I told you if you want to work with the Git, right, there is some protocols. So if you want to work with the Git, you need a Git client. You can say Git SCM, one of the open source client, Git SCM. Remember that whatever code I'm going to push over here, that code will become open source. Well, you can make a private repository also, but now I'm not creating a private repository. I will create a public repository. So anyone who is watching this video can get the benefit of the code, and that's why I'm writing this over here in this way. Now see, Git is a client and server. See, you are a client here, you are a client, so this GitHub is a server. So here you are a client, this GitHub is a server. You are a client and this GitHub is a what? Server. So it's a client and server. So if you want to communicate with any of the Git server, right, any of the Git server, you need to have a client with you. So Git SCM is the client that you have with you, right? You can download it. Can you see, Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from the small to the very large with the speed and the efficiency, right? Git is easy to learn, a lot of things they have given. This is a client. Remember that if you want to communicate with the server, you need to have this thing on your machine. Well, I already have installed it on my machine. Now see, first thing, I would like to take this folder on my local machine. So when you talk about the Git, it's a local and it's a remote. Local and the remote. So this thing is a remote repository for us. And now whatever I'm going to do now, see here, I can say, just I'm using Mac, but it's not absolutely necessary that you should use Mac. So here I can say, see, first command, what I want to do, I want to get the particular folder on my machine. I want to get what? Particular folder. So command is git clone you need to work with the commands git clone and just paste that particular URL. Can you see this URL we have copied from there? Git clone means what? Whatever folder is over here, kindly clone it or copy it. Hit the enter, and here you will see one folder. Can you see this folder? meanstack crash course is there. Now remember that this is connected with your remote repository, right? This is connected with your remote repository. I will show you. Now this particular folder on the desktop, let me open it. So file, open the folder, go to the desktop, and the desktop, can you select this folder and open it? So you are opening that particular folder over here. Now see here, I can create one folder and I can say JS demos, or say JS demos, fine. And inside the JS demos I can have a new file, say hello, or say app.js, and here I can say console.log. Here I can say console.log welcome to meanstack. Just save it. Welcome to what? meanstack. So this thing we have created. Can you see there is one bubble over here? So this code editor I would be using is a VS Code. Remember that. You can use any code editor, but I will highly recommend the VS Code. Now see, so this third icon says that there is a difference. See which folder you have open over here. You have opened the folder, this folder, which you have cloned, or you can say copied, which you have cloned or copied from the GitHub. See, you fire the command git space clone space this URL. So the complete folder which is connected with the remote repository is on your local machine. If you see, this is that folder that is available on your local machine. If you see, this is that folder we have copied from the server or GitHub. Now this is a local repository and this one is a remote repository. So you can put the data in the local repository, you can make changes in the local repository and then push that changes to the remote repository. You can make the changes in the local repository and then you can push that changes to the remote repository. And that's why you see one over here. One means what? There is a difference in the local repository and the remote repository. What we are saying, boss, there is a difference. So VS Code is saying that, boss, there is a difference in the local repository and what you can say in the remote repository. One difference is there, right? Now just click over there. It says that, can you see? Untracked, it says that, boss, I don't have this file itself, and inside that there is a one code. I don't know what about this. What is this? That is not available on the remote repository. This is something different you are telling me, and that's why it is showing one. Now what to do? You can say just right click, or can you see here, 3 dots are available over here. 3 dots, just click on the 3 dots, right? And here is a commit. Say yes. So you can give some message over here why you are submitting code to the server. You can say initial commit and hit the enter. So you are saying that I am uploading initial level of code to the server, right? That's why you need to have a commit. I will show you where that commit gets reflected on the GitHub. Just click on the push. See now, first you clone the repository, then you created the file, then you made some changes into the file, then you committed. Now once the commit is there, last step is push. Well, there is a lot of step in between. I'm not covering that one. That's the fetch is there, right? Then stage is there, and a lot of other things you can do in between. Let's not worry about that thing right now. Let's keep it very simple. So creating a folder on the server, copying that folder on the local machine, adding some data into that folder, right? Modifying some data, right? Then committing it. Committing it means what? Whenever you next time submit the files to the server, whenever you next time submit the files to the server, at that time please get this committed data. Please get this committed data. So I'm clicking on push over here. Now see what will happen. Some progress you will see, and after having a progress, something has happened, and just refresh over here, and can you see JS demos? This initial commit you will find, and 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago we have committed this. Go to this folder and app.js, and inside that console.log. That's what we done on the local repository, and then we have pushed it to the remote repository. We have done changes in the local repository, and we have made what you can say things on the remote repository. Remember that is nothing but what the Git is. Well, there are a lot of things available in the Git, right? I'm not covering that over here because I have a limitation of 1 hour. I'm going to keep myself restricted to the 1 hour here and there, right? Fine. So we covered the Git. We created the data, we uploaded on the Git. Now next part is JavaScript and ES6. So if you want to learn the meanstack, meanstack, right? Remember that you should be very good at the JavaScript. You should be very sound in the JavaScript, right? So what things you need to know in the JavaScript, right? First thing, you need to know what is a function, how to write the functions, right? Here you can say function, and calc, you can say calc function, sorry, spelling is wrong, function, calc num1 and num2. So I want to perform the addition of these two numbers, return num1 plus num2, num1 plus num2, right? Then you need to know how to declare the variables. Variable, you can say res is equals to 0, right? Now if you look at this code, there are a lot of variations nowadays, right? There are a lot of variations nowadays. So where can be replaced with what? I can say const res1 or res1 res2 is equals to 90, and see I'm removing the semicolon, or you can use the let res3, you can say 50, right? So const is a constant, where is the variable, but what is a let? Let is a feature of the ES6. Remember that let is a feature of ES6 which introduces the scoping to the JavaScript, which introduces what? Scoping to the JavaScript. We create the scope, right? So what is this? Is a part of the ES6, and see I'm going to cover ES6 features. Now see, in my regular course I generally cover all of these features in detail, in very much detail. What do you mean by scoping? What is a let? What is a var? What's a const? And where exactly you will use all that things I generally cover. But see, let, var, let and const are the feature of the ES6. Can you see? Block scoped variables. Let has been introduced. Earlier there was a var. So let is a scoping, right? Just right now remember that thing. It's related to the scope. The way JavaScript works, the way Java works, in the same fashion JavaScript also can work in the terms of the scope, right? And that scoping is available by means of let. Okay, now one more thing here, if you see, so this function can be written like this, constant calc calc2, see it's a variable, and then I can write bracket num1 comma num2 is equals arrow num1 plus num2. Remember that the meaning of this line, these three lines, is very much same as the meaning of this one line. Meaning of the three lines, this 7, 8, 9, and the meaning of the line number 11 is one and same. Again here ES6 fat arrows. ES6 what? Fat arrows. We call it as fat arrows, and these are the normal functions. We call it as normal functions. So this is also feature of ES6, and this is also feature of ES6. Now as I told you, here there is a semicolon, here also I can write a semicolon. Now my one request here is that, can you see any difference over here in this line? I'm asking you a question, team. Can you see any difference over here? You might have written the JavaScript code. I don't know you have written or you don't have written it. But if you have written, if you have little experience, there is a change over here. In this line, there is some difference, or there is something new thing we have added. I will write in a traditional way and see this is a new thing. And here I can say a single quote. Remember that this is not a single quote. This is a single quote. This is a back tick. This is also ES6 feature, and we call it as where we can evaluate the strings, string interpolation. Now see, here I can add something like this, 10 plus 20. I can add 10 plus 20 like this. Welcome to the meanstack. Dollar, see, inside the strings I can write some evaluation related code. So who has given to you this thing? ES6. Now if you go to the website ES6, what is a ES6? It is a ECMA script 6. Now, what do we mean by this ECMA script? Right? I will cover it in some another video, or you can join for the course and you will get to know all these details in very much depth. Okay, it's a crash course. I have limited myself to the 1 hour. Okay, now along with what you can say in the JavaScript, all such things, a little minute things that can make an impact on your code, that we will see. We will start from where JavaScript begins, right? From where JavaScript begins. What's the history of the JavaScript? What's the need of the JavaScript? How exactly JavaScript works, right? What's the JavaScript runtime? How exactly JavaScript works inside the browser? How exactly JavaScript works outside the browser? In the early stages, JavaScript was used to make your content dynamic, HTML content dynamic. But later on, people thought that this is a very widely adopted programming language. Why not to use it for writing a server-side code, or even for nowadays mobile applications, React Native? How exactly this is happening, right? This is because of what you can say the JavaScript runtime. Well, working of the JavaScript, how exactly JavaScript gets interpreted, what are the internal things of the JavaScript, and all that things we would be covering in much more detail, and that you should know as a full stack developer or as a mean stack developer. You should know at very much depth. Okay, now I told you this thing is called as fat arrow. This is what traditional functions. This is what the fat arrows, right? Fat arrows. So it is a function only. so this function is equals to this one line. Remember that this function is equals to this one line. So this much function is equals to this one line. Now what is that? It is a lambda representation of the function. It's a mathematical term and it is a lambda representation of the function. Lambda. Now if you go to the Wikipedia, just search it out, what are the lambda functions, you will find something like this. It's just a separate, what you can say, it's a separate representation than the traditional way, right? Now when you talk about the JavaScript, remember that you are just speaking about a fantastic programming language, a programming language which will work in a browser, which will work outside a browser. I'll give you one demo. Now see here in the JS demos, I'm going to create a new file and I can say index.html. Okay, well, in the VS Code I have installed the plugin. I have installed one plugin, right? If you see HTML and the 5, automatically it is creating the template. I have installed the plugin. Because of the plugin this is happening, and I can say simple demo. Okay, now see, so this is your app.js. This file can be executed in a browser. This file can be executed outside the browser. I will show you now. There is a script tag, then src tag, and over there in the current directory, right, there is something called as app.js, and end the script tag properly, end the script tag properly. Now see here, let me call the function console.log. Here I can say calc, and here I will say 10 and the 20, and here also, just to show you, calc2 10 and 10. Okay, now see, you have written this JavaScript. That JavaScript you have imported in the HTML. Now let's try to open this HTML in the browser. Open with the Brave browser, right? See, you cannot see anything. Just right click over here, inspect, and can you see there is a console, and here can you see welcome to the meanstack 30, welcome to the meanstack 30 and the 20. So this is coming from the line, can you see, app.js line number 12 and app.js line number 15. What's the line number 12? App.js line number 12. This is the line number 12 and this is the line number 15. Line number 12 answer is 30. Line number 15 answer is 20. That's what answer you are getting over here. That's what the answer you are getting over here. Remember that I told you JavaScript can work inside the browser. You created one JS file, then you created HTML file, you imported that you imported that JavaScript into the HTML. Look at the code. Here you imported that JS. Here you imported that JS, right? So this is a demo of how JavaScript work inside the browser. Now see, same JavaScript can be executed outside the browser. Look at the screen now. Look at the screen, team. CD meanstack crash course. See, I have entered into that particular folder. Look at the team, people. Focus. Focus is very important. Only difference between the, what you can say, successful people and the ordinary people is the focus. Remember that, focus. So here you can say node. This is the next term I am going to cover. Node, and name of the file app.js. Sorry, one more folder is there, cd js demos. If you want to see ls means what? List of the folders inside this particular list of files and folders inside this particular folder, ls, which will give you all the files and folder inside this. Let me go to the js demos and clear it. So I am inside what? JS demos right now. Now I can say, now just hit ls over here, and can you see there are two files, app.js and the index.html. So I need to run this JS. Now I have given you demo. How do you run the JavaScript inside a browser? Now this is a demo. How do you run the JavaScript outside the browser? See, something called as node I have written, and then app.js, hit the enter. Can you see whatever the output, you can relate that output. So this 30 30 20 20. See, I have given you one example how to run the JavaScript inside the browser, as well as how to run the JavaScript outside the browser. What do you mean by node now? Node is JavaScript framework which is written on the top of Chrome V8 engine. Remember that Chrome V8 engine. If you see Chrome V8 engine, right? See, JavaScript engine. See, V8 is a Google's open source high performance JavaScript and WebAssembly engine. Just forget about the WebAssembly. What do you mean by WebAssembly? Consider that these two words are not there. Just read like this: V8 is a Google's open source high performance JavaScript engine written entirely in C++. It is used in the Chrome and in Node.js. Remember that. So you use a Chrome browser. Inside that this engine is available. Also, this engine is available inside a Node.js, which is our next topic. What do you mean by, we covered this thing, JavaScript and ES6, right? Now next thing, what do you mean by Node.js and the Express.js, right? So intro I have given. V8, first again I will tell you, a JavaScript inside the browser and JavaScript outside the browser. So if you see this is the execution of the JavaScript by means of node app.js, means the way browser has interpreted this JavaScript, in a same fashion node also has interpreted this JavaScript. Remember that JavaScript is an interpreted programming language. There are two types of the programming language: compiled interpreted and compiled interpreted. Let's not go in that detail, system programming details. Just consider right now one thing is that JavaScript is interpreted language, and whatever this engine is that understands the code you have written in the JavaScript, whatever this engine, we call it as V8 engine, you call it as interpreter, whatever you want to call it as, right? This engine understands the JavaScript. The console.log, what to do with the console.log, this engine understands. Remember that this engine knows, and same engine is available in the browser and same engine is available in the Node.js. Now question is that what do you mean by Node.js? Actually that is nothing but what? The next topic. I hope you have understood these three things, right? I hope you have understood that three things. Remember that it's a crash course and that is of only 1 hour. I have restricted myself, right? I need to cover these many things in a 1 hour, 1 hour-ish, you can say. Okay, but I also said that what you can say, have a course, online course on this content. Well, content is huge, There are a lot of things are there in that course, right? But that's the online course, right? It's the instructor led online course, means I'm going to teach you, right? We would be having a daily sessions, either daily batches or weekend batches, right? So I'm going to form the batches and update you when batch would be getting started, and you can enroll and you can understand all these things. But this course will help you at least in understanding what is a mean stack is, what things, at what level you need to learn the mean stack. You enroll with me or don't enroll with me, but you learn the mean stack is very important. If you are looking for a job, right? Or if you want to develop some prototypes for your startup, right? Or you want to do whatever happy funny things for your life, or you want to make a practice JavaScript, or just as a fun I'm going to do the JavaScript, learn these things. These things will give you a productive output, right? And that's in that way my course is designed, and that course covers overall these things. Okay, now Node.js and the Express.js. What is a Node.js? Let's go to the Google. See, Google is everything. Go to the Google and ask the question, boss, what's the Node.js is? See, Node.js is a JavaScript runtime built on the Chrome V8, means this engine, right? This engine. It's a JavaScript runtime which knows the JavaScript, and Node.js comes with lot of other packages. Now if you see here, this part, this is just a programming language. Now I will give you one example. Consider that I want to generate the GST invoice. Means there is a form in front of me. I'm going to enter the details, and automatically one PDF would be getting generated, right? Automatically PDF would be getting generated. I will enter that form, submit, and one GST invoice for the PDF would be getting invoked, would be getting created. So my question is that, what is that? How do you do that with this JavaScript code? Not possible. Possible, but you need to write a JavaScript code for creating what you can say PDF. You need to create a JavaScript code for understanding the form, whatever form you have written, and extracting the data from that form. You need to do all that things on your own, right? You need to do all that things on your own. Means a programming language is okay. Let me go to the whiteboard. Now see here. So this is your programming language. I can say this is my something programming language. It's a very raw. But from this programming language, I need to develop a system where there would be one classical form. I'm going to enter the details in the form, and from that form one PDF would be getting created. How to do that thing? Then you need to write some modules over here. This is a form reader, this is a PDF reader, this is a PDF writer, right? This is the HTTP, because form would be on the browser. From the browser you need to extract that, you need to write HTML. From the HTML you need to extract that, and a lot of other things need to be done, right? By considering all these challenges, some group of people came together. They said that, okay, we will write some JavaScript codes on the for doing little approaches, for doing little things. So if you want to write the file, so Node says that, well, I have one module, just use that module, right? So this is a programming language, and on the top of the programming language they have written, what you can say, some JavaScript modules. So this module is for TCP, this module is for UDP, this module is for writing the files, this module is for HTTP, security, and a lot of other things. And these modules are combined in one library or in one framework. We call it that framework as Node.js. We call that framework as what? Node.js. So lot of required things has been put under one framework. We call it as Node.js. Now go to the docs, right? Node.js 17 docs. Can you see here crypto related things, debugging related things, errors related things, HTTP related things, then OS related things, then a lot of things, see, path related things, domain related things. Can you see these are the JavaScript functions they have written internally, which are nothing but what? These little modules they kept in one framework. We call it as the Node.js. Now, how do you install the Node.js? Right, a very simple way to install the Node.js. Go here and download it from here, or I will highly recommend something called as NVM, Node Version Manager. See, I named my course as a professional meanstack developer course. Why? I myself is having 11 years of experience in developing all these things, right? So I know which things has to be done in a professional way. That's why course name itself is professional, what you can say, meanstack developer course. Now see, a right example of this is this. Now there are two ways to install the Node on your machine. See now, either just click over here and Node would be on your machine, or you can use one of the script like NVM, Node Version Manager. Let me tell you one example. Your company has developed the two products. One product is on the X release. Now if you go here, right, see there are the releases. Let's first go to the Node.js. It's an open source GitHub, Node.js open source GitHub, and here you can see, can you see 288 releases are there. I mean, these are the versions. These many versions has been released so far. Node team has released these many versions so far. Now whenever your company or you have started the product development, consider that present version is this 16.15.0. Whenever you started your product development, at that time this 16.15.0 version was not there. But at that time there was a version called as 14, Node 14.0.0. There was a version Node 14.0.0. So you have developed some part of your project using Node 14.0.0. Now by now the Node version is 16.15.0, which means that some part of your project works on the Node 14 and some part of your project works on Node 16. Some part of the node works on the 16 and some part of the node, so some part of your project works on what? Node 14. Means you need to install the two versions. So how do you install two versions from here? Either first you need to uninstall previous one and then install new one, or you need to keep them separately in two user accounts. Problematic. And at that time, see, NVM will help you. Node Version Manager, compliant bash script to manage the multiple active Node.js versions. See, it's altogether a different project, managing the different versions on the same instance, managing this different node versions on the same instance. That is altogether a different project, and at that time you need such tools, and that's why I highly recommend to install the node using NVM. Well, I'm not going to cover the installation process over here, right? I already have installed it, I'll show you, but I cover this in depth in my course. If you can see LVM ls remote and hit the enter, and can you see here these many node versions are available in the market. See, NVM ls remote 14, 15, 16, 18. Can you see? So green one, can you see this green arrow, which means that this version is installed on my machine, right? But the current version, can you see LTS is a long-term support. This one is what? Long-term support. Now consider that you are developing your own product. Remember that a pro tip, remember that never use the non-stable versions. Always use the versions which are under the LTS, long-term support. Never use the versions which are over here, because these are still in the development. These are not fixed yet. So it's highly recommended that you should go with the LTS, long-term support versions. So these are the LTS over here. See, not all the things are LTS, only few things fall under the LTS. So you should opt for the LTS only. Okay. Well, this is about the Node.js installation. Now, if you go to the about, and here you will find Node.js as an asynchronous event-driven JavaScript runtime. In only one line, asynchronous event-driven JavaScript runtime built for scalable network application. See, what is a Node.js? Asynchronous event-driven runtime. Well, presently you can say behind the scene a lot of things happens. Whenever you run the program, a lot of threads and processes and whatnot happens, right? But this framework is not stopping you from doing multiple things together. It has taken another approach. Well, I cover these things in very much detail in the pictorial manner. What are the internals of the Node.js? How exactly Node.js is going to work? At that time, you will get to know what is a asynchronous and what's the synchronous. Now, what is a scalable? Means consider that one application that can handle one thing I'm telling you about scalability, a number of requests. In a 1 second, I need to handle the 1000 requests. See, I'm repeating my words very carefully again. In a 1 second, I want to handle the 1000 requests. Now you calculate in 1 hour how much. That is called as the scalable. And for this one example of the scalable, it's not exactly scalable. See, in a 1 second, I want to handle the 100 requests. Then in 1 hour, how much? What kind of architecture you need to write in the code? See, this can be achieved by means of putting a lot of hardware servers, or by optimizing the software code. That is also possible. And that's what the Node.js is internally by default does. Asynchronous, event-driven, scalable, blah blah blah, whatever they are saying here. But we'll see this thing in the actual course. Well, don't worry, I'm going to put a lot of videos on the YouTube. Over there, I'm going to touch all these chapters together, right? But my current intention is a meanstack crash course. Fine. So that's about little bit about the Node.js. Now there is something called as Express.js, right? Now what is Express.js? See, now let me go to the Express.js. See here, Express.js, fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for Node.js. The framework which is written on the top of the Node.js. Node.js itself a framework, and on the top of that they have written something called as Express.js. Now I'm going to write a code for this. Let me write a code for this. But for that, remember that, let me create one folder first and then I'll explain you. Can you see here? 3 files are different. Let me push this thing, JS. Okay. So one thing I would like to add over here, that is nothing but a new file I need to add, that is called as git.gitignore. So this file restricts some things from getting uploaded to the server. Now if you see, if I go to here, can you see ._ds store, the file which is dedicatedly for the Mac, right? So this need not to be uploaded on the server. So you can say avoid this file dot in the gitignore .ds_. So you are saying that, boss, please do not upload this. Can you see automatically that has been removed from here? But if I delete this thing, see here again, that file automatically come under the, so 4 changes are there, means this file has to be uploaded on the server, that is not available on the remote file. Now if you see, if I add it, only 3 changes are there, that is not required. And that is the significance of having gitignore with you, excluding the files that has not to be uploaded on the GitHub. That is nothing but the what? Gitignore. Okay. Now see, let me push this much. JavaScript demos and Node.js. So I have covered this much for this. Just say yes, and then you can push it, and then you can push it. Just go to the Git and check things has been added or not. Whenever you come over here, remember that, can you see 2 commits are there? Click on the commits and see JavaScript demos and Node.js and initial commit. Well, I spent a lot of time during the course on the GitHub. What is a branching, right? What are the pull requests, how to push pull code, what is the staging, what's the status, and all that things has been covered, right? But just I'm giving you overview over here. Fine. So added this. So here I have added this thing. Now let me create one more folder, and here I can say web or say backend demo. Backend would be written in a Node and Express. So from this folder cd ... Now see ls. Can you see 2 things are there? Backend demo is one folder and JS demos is another folder. So just clear the console and cd backend demos. Go here and now see npm init. Remember that the moment you are going to, what I'm saying, the moment, just hold on. Yeah. The moment you are going to install Node on your machine, one utility gets downloaded automatically. That is nothing but what? The npm, right? Node is nothing but what? A group of packages. That packages are coming from installation of the Node.js, or some third-party people also have developed some package. I'll give you an example. npm.js.com. Go over here and can you see search packages? So this is a central repository where Node.js people store their codes. This is one central repository where Node.js people upload their codes. For example, let's go here, Angular. If you see, Google has uploaded this JS code, right? Google has created one Angular related code and uploaded onto this repository so that you can download it in your project, and that's what the npm is. Now, if you want to create the package, a Node package, first you need to create a Node project, and that's nothing but what this. Just hit npm init, hit the enter. It is asking you few questions. What the package name? Backend demo. Hit the enter. What's the version? 0.0.1 is a semantic versioning, right? Major release, minor release, and the patch release. These are the three things: major release, minor release, and the patch release, right? Remember that. Description, this is simple demo. Hit the enter. Entry point, index.js. You don't write anything. Whatever in the bracket would be considered as default. Yeah, and say yes. Now see here, if you go to the folder, one file has been created called as package.json. Can you see here? Package.json. So this one file has been created. So this file is a entry point for your node project. So whenever you upload your package on the nodejs, npm.js, or whenever you do any operations on the node project or this package is a heart file. In the beginning, this file would be getting scanned. Well, there are a lot of uses of this file, but presently you just remember that. Can you see here, main index.js? So here you are saying that for this package there might be a lot of JavaScript files, 100 of the JavaScript files you might write, but which thing is important for you here? The index.js is an entry point of this package. Index.js is the entry point of this package. That's what you say over here. Okay, now so this is, you created the node project. Well, you can write any file. Now here I can say main file as index.js, right? Well, you can write it whatever you want to write, no problem, but have some sense while giving the variable names, function names, and the file names. That should be some sensible. So index.js. Now see, this is what a little about the node.js. Now we are talking about the Express.js. If you see, Express.js is a web framework. Web, when you talk about the web, it's the client and the server. When you talk about the web, it's the client and it's a server. So that communication is going to be established by means of one package. That's the Express. Now you go here also and just type Express. Here you will find the Express related thing. Now see, some group of experts of the web development, they know the JavaScript, came together and they decided that why not to build our own package, right, for the web related things, and that is nothing but what the Express.js. So Express.js is that package which completely focuses on the web. Now, when you talk about web, there are a lot of aspects of the web. What is HTTP? What is TCP? What do you mean by TLS? What do you mean by HTTPS, right? And how communication will happen? Who is going to handle the cookies, right? What do you mean by sessions? What is a MVC, right? What is the REST API? And a lot of other things that has to be taken care by some framework, and that is nothing but what the Express does that thing. Remember that if you don't do this thing, if you don't use these frameworks like Express and other things, you need to handle all that codes on your own. You need to type code on your own. Means if you want to upload a file from the browser client to the server, you need to write a complete code, right? How file would be transported from one end to the another end, how to build the HTTP connections, everything you need to write. And all that things are internally done by the Express. It's an open source. You can check the source code also. Just go to the GitHub and you can say Express.js. Now on the GitHub, you will find the source code of the Express.js, right? Just go to the lib. Inside that, middleware, then the router. Well, to the Express.js, there you will find lot of codes. If you see the index.js over here, under the lib Express.js. See here, body parser and lot of things are available. Remember that this framework is internally built on the top of Node.js. So this framework heavily uses the Node.js internally. You can see the source codes which are written over here. Okay, now Express.js. Okay, let's write a Express code. Now if you see here, if you want to use this package in your project, just go and write npm install express save. Can you see? Now something has been changed. If you see here, something has been changed. Now if you go to the project and package.json, can you see package.json? And can you see this was not there earlier and this has been added. So here you are saying that this package is dependent on the Express package which is available on the npm. This package is dependent on one third party package which is Express.js. Okay, that is nothing but what? One change. Another change, there is one folder called as node_modules. There is one folder called as node_modules. So this folder has been automatically created, and one file package log.json, this file keeps the track, right? So node modules means what? If you want to use the Express in your project, these many things should be there. All these are the JavaScript. Go inside this, index.js is there. Go inside this, index.c. These files are written by some third party people. They came together and they created some required JavaScript files and they kept those files in the npm.js. Means if you want to use the Express needs all these things. And see here, there is a Express also. Can you see here? Express and index.js. Express index.js is coming in your project. Okay, but here if you see, it says that on the Git repository and the local repository there are the 427 changes. Now just go to the git ignore and add node_modules. Node_module. Node_module. Okay, you need to create one more. Yeah, can you see? Just 4 changes are there. So here you are saying that if you find ds_store, do not upload it. If you find node_modules, do not upload it. That is not required, because node_modules would be getting generated by looking at these dependencies. Node_modules is a folder which contains the required JavaScript files. Node_module is a folder which contains required JavaScript files, and that are kept under over here, and that can be created by means of one command. Now see, you can clone this project on your machine, right? After cloning, just hit npm. Now see, I am showing you. Let me delete that node_modules. See, I am deleting node_modules and I am already inside the backend demo, and just type npm install. Automatically all the required things would be getting downloaded, and you will realize that node_module has been created automatically. So this folder can be created at any time. So you don't need to do anything. Just clone the project and go in a particular directory like this directory and hit npm install. Node module should be getting created automatically. Remember that. Okay, so here we didn't create anything. We just created a node module, node project, node package. Inside that we added what you can say Express dependency. That's what we have done. Now a basic Express code we need to write. So I just go here getting started and the hello world, right? See, now this is a fundamental Express code. Now if you see, Node is already there. Under the Node module, Express is already there. Now you need to import this in your project. So I just copy this line, right? I just copy this line. So you have imported Express in your project. Now initialize the framework. This is the initialization of the framework that can be done over here, right? Framework has been initialized, and then you need to start accepting the requests. You need to what? Start accepting the requests. So port, I can say 3000. Start accepting the request like this, right? Format the document. See, nowhere I am using semicolon. Here we imported, here we initialized, and here you start accepting the requests. Or you can create one const port variable, and you can say 3000. So instead of hard coding it over here, you can say port, and here you can say port like this. This also can be done, no problem. Now here, if you see app dot get request /abc, that can be anything, and see here I am writing a lambda request response request and the response /abc request and the response. Now see, this is the one handler that accepts the requests and gives the response. That accepts the requests and gives the response, right? Remember that /abc, that accepts the requests and gives the response back. Accepts the request. So here you are saying that, so whenever someone will go in the browser and just say localhost 3000 /abc, see /abc. So whenever someone will hit only this much, at that time it will reach to this server which is running. And if you want to execute this function, right, so you will go here and /abc localhost 3000 and the abc, right? So you will execute this function. Now requests are getting handled by this much piece of code. Now how do you send the response? You can say response.json. Well, JSON is another, what you can say, data format. It's a JavaScript object notation, a format or data exchange format which is looking like JavaScript object, a data exchange format which is looking like JavaScript object, which is nothing but this. Now see, here I can say just hold on, yeah, here I can say dt or data, or we can say year 2022, right? And we can say URL google.com like this, http google.com. So two things we are doing over here, /abc and this thing. Now let us run this project so that you will understand the things. So here I can say node index.js. Can you see? Example app is running on the port 3000. Example app listening on the port 3000. And now you go here and see something is happening. Cannot get / and here I can say, sorry, /abc, hit the enter. Can you see year 2022 URL, this thing. Now this file presently you are returning the JSON, but from here you can return the HTML also, proper HTML as well. I will show you. App.get. Get, what do you mean by get? Is a HTTP method, and only / request response dot send, and from here we can say h1, something like this, HTML tag h1, and welcome to meanstack, right? Just stop the server, and rerun it again. cd meanstack, cd backend, and here you can say node index.js. Application is running. Now see, only / see /abc, then do this thing. If it is only / and hit the enter, sorry, can you see h1? You can find h1 over here. This is the h1. How this is happening means you can send JSON type of response, and you can send a normal HTML kind of response. JSON type of response and normal HTML kind of response. Remember that this is about a little bit about the Express, but remember this is very fundamental thing. You can do lot of things on the top of this. There are a lot of applications, large scale applications built on these concepts, but I have covered really little now. There are a lot of things that I cover generally in the Express, but that's enough for the crash course. Just overview purpose, that's enough. Now here Node.js and the Express.js, that has been done. Now I think it is already more than 1 hour. I am skipping this part. I can work with that separately. I will just give you intro. How do you do that thing? In the Express, on the npm.js, just type MySQL, hit the enter. Can you see? This package you need to install in your project, or let's do it, no problem. Let's do it. npm install now see here, npm install -- save. MySQL package would be getting installed on your machine. If you see here, over here in the package.json, can you see MySQL 281 has been installed. MySQL 281 has been installed. Now my MySQL is already running. Can you see MySQL is already running, and that's why I don't need to worry about anything. That is already running. But if your MySQL is not running, you need to run the MySQL, and you need to know username and password. Remember that, username and password. Now see, first I need to import the MySQL in my Express project. So here I can say, instead of where, you can use const MySQL. After that, importing the MySQL, you need to initialize the connection. For initializing the connection, we need this much parameters. First, host is a local host, user is a root, password is a password, and database is a customer_db. Already one database is there. I'll show you. Now go to the Docker. Will I run MySQL in a Docker? CLI, I can say here mysql/u root/p, mysql/u, username is root/p. Well, I cover database, MySQL and Mongo as well in the course in much detail, and password is password. Okay, now see show databases. Can you see customer DB is there and a lot of other things are available over there. Just hold on, let me clean it. Okay, now this call connect, we need to write connect. See here, you need to write username, you need to write password. My password is password, one database is this, and this thing, connect. Okay, now if you see to the connect, mysql dot connect, and to the connect there is a error callback. First parameter is error, and see, so this type of functions are called as error first callbacks. Now what is the error first callbacks? Right, it's again another concept. A first element, first parameter would be always error in the Node.js. If there are some situations where you need to give the error and the data, then there is a error first callback. First parameter is always error. Now see, here we can check if error is there, then we can say console.log error. Problem, I can say problem in connecting with DB, else we can say here successfully connected, successfully connected. Problem in connecting with DB, successfully connected. Okay, now if you run the project, node and index dot, okay, just close it and do it again. cd desktop, cd backend, and node index.js. See, there is some problem in connecting with DB. Here you will find some problem in connecting with DB. Error, problem in connecting with DB, localhost, root, password, database, customer DB. I got it. Password, root, I got it. But see, something is happening over here. I exactly got the concern. You need to make a one setting over here. That's, I could have done that, but I'm skipping that setting right now. Right, I'm just skipping that setting right now for the time. For a time being, I'm skipping the, I know what exactly setting is, but I'm skipping that part right now. Let me make sure that I'm getting whatever is in my head, same thing is over here. It is related to the version. My version in the Docker is little bit higher and the driver is not compatible. The thing you have installed is not compatible. You need to make some configuration over here. I have done lot of times, but presently I will not do that. It will take little time. Node index.js, yeah, ER access denied. root at, I got it, what exactly concern is. Just hold on. Just do it with the root right now and see. CD mean backend node. Yeah, can you see successfully connected? I got it. Some weird configuration I have done. For the Java batches, other configuration is getting used. For the node batches, this configuration of the database would be getting used. Can you see? Successfully connected with the DB. For the Java batches, I have made some username and password different. And for the JavaScript batches, I told you this is I use a password this, right? Password is a password. That is for another thing. And for the node, password is root and root. And if you see here, it is connected successfully. So you have connected successfully to the DB. Now you can enter the queries. You can execute the queries from your node app also, right? You can write what? Native SQLs. You can write native SQLs, or you can use something called as ORM, object relation mapping. There are two things to communicate with the DB. One thing by means of the native SQLs and another thing by means of the ORM frameworks. There are a lot of ORM frameworks available in the market that we can use, and instead of writing the native SQLs, we can store the JavaScript objects directly, right? So that thing also I cover in my in-depth, what you can say, course. Okay, now last part of this thing is writing the front end, Angular app. Before moving ahead, let me push this much code, and I can say here Express app and DB connectivity and the DB connectivity. Say yes and say push, right? And what? Push. So here is the code that we have written for the database connectivity, right? Fine. Now Angular app. So right click, new folder, front end demo. Okay. Now I'm stopping this. I'm stopping this CD, desktop, meanstack, CD front end, and NG. Now see, Angular CLI. Now, what is Angular first? Remember that. The moment you talk about the front end, right? The moment you talk about the front end, well, just hold on. I will create the project because it might take little time. ng new, and we can say crash course demo and hit the enter. See, would you like to have the routing? I can say no right now. Which style sheet format you would be using? CSS, and see, it will be installing the packages and other thing. Now let's discuss what is Angular. So when you talk about Angular, is a front-end management framework, right? Remember that browser knows only HTML. There is nothing two words about that. Browser knows only HTML, but the way you write the code is really important. The way you maintain your front end is really important, and that's why there are the two frameworks. There are a lot of frameworks actually, but React and the Angular, right, are sitting on the front end. They say that, boss, we are going to communicate with the backend very much effectively, very much efficiently. We are going to communicate with the backend very much effectively, very much efficiently. And that's why you need some framework, something. Likewise, JavaScript is the only programming language, but some expert people came together and they created a Node.js, a framework for managing your backend JavaScript application. That's the Node.js. In the same way, Angular is that framework, right, which maintains the front end, right? Angular is completely open source. Angular is completely open source. Now, there are two, what you can say, generations of the Angular. One is Angular.js and another one is only Angular. If you see, this is written in the TypeScript. It is a 100% open source framework which is written by, which is maintained by the Google. Remember that, which is maintained by what? Google. And that is written in the TypeScript. Now, TypeScript is a programming language, is an open source programming language, is a superset of the JavaScript. It is a typed JavaScript, right? Where there are types in the TypeScript. So when you talk about the Angular, remember that you need to remember three things. It's a front-end development framework. You need to know the TypeScript, and TypeScript is a superset of the JavaScript, which means that you should have a concrete understanding of the JavaScript. Then you can learn the TypeScript, and then you can learn the front-end management framework. That is nothing but what? Angular. Whatever if you know how jQuery works, how DOM manipulation works, right? Understanding of the Angular is a bit easy, but that is absolutely not the requirement. If you don't know, well and good, then you can become a fantastic developer, right? It's absolutely not required. Some people say that if you are from the web development background, then and only then you can learn the Angular, but it's not like that. Angular can be understood and the grasp by anyone. There is no problem. But remember that Angular is a front-end management framework which is written in the TypeScript, completely written in the TypeScript, right? Now, see, there is nothing to do with the CSS and the Angular. Sorry, there is nothing to do with the Bootstrap and the Angular. Bootstrap is altogether different framework. Angular is altogether different framework. Both the frameworks are solving different questions. Both the frameworks are solving different problems. One is talking about the UI and one is talking about the UI management, right? So Angular is a component based framework. Now this is a website, right? Angular website, which is already developed in the Angular. Go to the inspector tab and look at the tags. Can you see the first tag? You see AIO shell. This is not a native HTML tag. AIO shell is not a native HTML element. That is something different. AIO cookies pop up. That is something different. Mat side nav container. That is something different, right? These are not the HTML elements. These are custom elements. These are the custom Angular components, right? Behind them there is a UI. Behind them there is a UI. See now, creating own element, creating own component is the Angular. Now I told one thing in the beginning, that is nothing but Angular has two generations. One, Angular.js, that is different, altogether different. And another one is Angular, only Angular. I will show you. This is only Angular, and you can go Angular.js GitHub. So this is completely different. So this project, can you see this repository has been archived by owner, right? So it is not maintained anymore by Google. Remember that. And they are saying if you want to work with Angular.js, right? See, Angular.js support has officially been ended in the Jan 2022. Remember that. Visit angular.io for actively supported Angular, which is nothing but this one. These two are the complete different framework. Now in the 2022, Google had stopped supporting this one, maintaining this one, and completely about this framework, Angular, which is in the TypeScript. Let us see project has been created or not. Yeah, project has been created over here in the front end, right? Project has already been created, and here is the part. Now if you want to see front end and ls-l will -l, yeah, crash course demo cd crash course demo clear, and you can say npm start. See, now your Angular project is getting started. If you see your Angular project, if you see here, Angular live development server is listening. If you see something like this, your Angular app is running and localhost 4200. Can you see 4200? If you check your console properly, here you will find Angular live development server is listening on the localhost 4200. Open your browser on localhost 4200. We have done that localhost 4200 and it is looking like this. Now if you go to the projects, if there is a source, inside that there is an app component HTML and a lot of code is there. We can remove all this code, and here I can say h1 and h1 I am Angular app. I am Angular app. Save it. Go here. Can you see I am Angular app? You can put the buttons and you can do a lot of things. Also, if you see here, as you go on typing the code is automatically getting compiled, right? Internally there is a live reload server that does all these things. Okay, now in the Angular, how two components communicate with each other, how this front end application will communicate with the back end application, how the front end application will communicate with the back end application. Well, there is a form. You are going to enter some form data over here and you are going to send that data to the back end application, and back end application is going to store that in the MySQL. How does that thing work, right? That's what all about the learning of this course. I can type that code, but you need to know some concepts in the Angular, right? What are the observables, what is a fetch calls, right? All that things you need to know. What is async and await, and then I can write that code. Well, I'm not intended to type that code right now over here, but in some another courses, in some another videos, I would be covering all that things, right? Now, this is what I have intended to cover in this crash course, right? In this crash course. So about the deployment, your backend app, front-end app can be written in one Docker file. That Docker file can be uploaded to the Docker Hub or the ECR, whatever, and you just get that Docker file and use the Docker Compose and run your complete application. That also can be done. You can do that separately also. Separate Angular app, separate Node app can be deployed on the separate servers. That also can be done, right? But Docker and other thing, let's not cover over here. But this is what all about a crash course, approximately 1 hour. I don't know how much time I have talked and how much time I have typed the code, right? I hope you found this content informational and helpful, right? I hope you have enjoyed the course. You have enjoyed this one hour with me. If you want to enroll for the course, a professional meanstack developer course, I am giving you details in the description of this course. right? And I'm really thankful for you that you have stayed this long with me. Okay? Thanks a lot, and let's meet in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.